What an indictment of lawyers.
We let all sorts of other things be our guide. Be our mind, be our guide. Well, that doesn't make sense. I want to do this and this. And we can explain away all sorts of behaviors and all sorts of things we either do or don't do. Or 1 Timothy 4:2, through the hypocrisy and pretensions of liars, whose consciences are seared. Cauterized. What's cauterized mean?
Burn.
It burns. And why? What do you do with what exactly? What does cauterized do?
It stops it from bleeding.
It seals it up.
It seals it up. It stops it. Like if you cauterize a wound, it won't bleed anymore. And that's through making. It makes it hard in there. And we can get a hardness in us on certain areas that our conscience will not, it's like we don't have a conscience on certain areas. That's scary. I've met several people as a pastor over many years. I've met several people that I question have a conscience. And each of us have areas where maybe we have little conscience or we have not much conscience. But that's called a sociopath. Someone that does not have a conscience. Where they look at me straight to my face and absolutely lie and don't even have a conscience about it. I've met a couple evil people in my life. That's evil. Evil has come in. And it's a slow process of how we get from where we are to that kind of place. It's a slow. All of a sudden, someone doesn't say, "I'm going to become addicted on heroin." There are many people in the state of Ohio addicted more on heroin now than they had been 5 years ago. And you know why that is? Because the synthetic heroin is not available anymore. And what's synthetic heroin, folks? Percocet, Oxycontin, Vicodins, all that's synthesized heroin. And the drug companies have clamped down on it because people were going from doctor to doctor to doctor to get this, and it's a narcotic, and people then get hooked on it. And then they'll crush the pills and snort them and do all sorts of stuff. And so heroin's cheaper now than going that direction, and people are dying. And nobody wants to be, life has become a drug addict. People don't do that. Nor do people have an aim at their life to say, I'm going to have a hard heart. Wow. But it happens. Betrayal is common for men with no conscience. I thought that was a good quote. Hurt causes hearts to grow cold. That's what that tells me. Hurt. Unresolved hurt and wounds. Now here's Paul. I think this is one that gripped me. It's the Mark Twain's quote. It's not the passage in the Bible that I don't understand that bother me. It's the passage in the Bible that I do understand that bother me. This is one that has bothered me. He says, I care very little if I am judged by you or by any human court. Indeed, I do not even judge myself. My conscience is clear, but that does not make me innocent. It is the Lord who judges me. Therefore, judge nothing before the appointed time. Wait until the Lord comes. He will bring to light what is hidden in darkness and will expose the motives of the heart. At that time, each will receive their praise from God. Now, let's look at this together. What is this saying? What's it say?
There is one who's worthy to judge.
Okay, there's one that's worthy to judge. God alone is judge. Okay? What else does this say? What's it saying about conscience?
He says it's clear, but it doesn't make him innocent, which means it's not necessarily, even though your conscience is clear, it doesn't necessarily mean that it's right.
Well, if I break the law, I'm held accountable even if I
Right.
didn't know the law.
Right.
That's correct. Just because you have a clear conscience doesn't mean God says you're clear. Just because it feels good to you, just because it's okay for you. What do you think about that? How do you deal with that passage? How do you deal with this passage? So how do we know what's right and wrong? There's a hidden word in here that brings it to light to me. So I want you to look at the Bible. The reason why I want you to look at the Bible is so that, because I want you to look at the passages here.
The motives.
That's it. Motives. That's the key. That's the key. The motives of the heart. What's the motive behind it? I don't know if God's that interested sometimes in some of the things we do or don't do. But He's interested in why you're doing it. Is it for love's sake? Is it because you love God? Is that why you're doing it? Is it because you love others? Is that why you're doing it? Because I think oftentimes if we say, I have a clear conscience, we're towing the line. We're towing the line. I think some of us, like, if I have a balloon here, and I would take this balloon and I would squeeze the balloon. Have you ever done this with balloons? You squeeze the balloon and you squeeze it. How far can I squeeze it before it pops? Have you done this? I've done this. And you kind of squeeze it. And I think some of us say, how far can I go and still be a Christian? How far can I do what I want to do in my life and not cross the line and be lost, but still be a Christian? And I think we live on that line. Some people live towards that line. How about if we live in the opposite way and say, how far away from that line can I go? I want to run away from that place, and how far can I run to God and follow Him? And I think sometimes if we say, my conscience is clear, have you ever said something like that to people? Maybe you use the word conscience. Yeah, my heart's clear about it. I don't feel anything about that. I don't feel any passion there. However we talk about that, it's almost like then that excuses us. The motives are the key. Conscience is God's presence in man. There's some truth to that. In Proverbs chapter 7, it talks about temptation. And it talks about specifically about the temptation that a woman can have with a man and lead men astray. It says, with much justifying and enticing argument, she persuades him with the allurements of her lips. She leads him to overcome his conscience and his fears and forces him along. What that tells me is that temptation can overcome your conscience. Temptation can overtake and overcome. That we don't have conscience about that. There comes a time when one must take a position that's neither safe nor political nor popular, but must take it because conscience tells them it's right. That's what Martin Luther King said. There comes a time when you have to stand up and be true to yourself. And part of conscience is that, will you be true to yourself? Will you be true to how God made you? The object and purpose of our instruction and charge is love, which comes from a pure heart and a good and clear conscience and a sincere faith. If we have a clear conscience, among other things, that means we can love people honestly. We can love God. This is at the heart of love. But if our conscience is not clear or clean, it's very difficult to love. Our motives are in question. Why we're doing what we're doing. Motive is exactly on this. So what's the application for today? What I want you to do is there's three things. I want you to talk with one person or another person here. I want you to have a discussion about it. One is, what did you learn today? Number two, what do you think God is telling you? And it would be good, what do you need prayer for? So let's just break into small groups right now. A couple of us, let's just get together.